Hi, in this video we will talk about anchors and how we use them. And there are many anchors in the market which we don't know much about them, but we will be talking about the one which we experienced for many years. Dampered, plow type like CQR, a claw type like a Bruce, and a Fisherman anchor. I hope it would be helpful to you. Right now we have 4 anchors. One is 45-pound plow type, which we mainly use it for a stern anchor and sometimes for a caging. And our working anchor is a 66-pound Bruce. We have a Fisherman's anchor, which is 35-pound. This is a specialty anchor, which we use mainly if it's a rock, coral, or a heavy kelp conditions. Using actually very seldom, where it's a beach to try to retrieve it due to a long arm. So we use it very seldom, but it's still nice to have it because there were a couple of times when our CQR and Bruce did not hold. In the past, many years ago, we used dampered anchor, which we were very satisfied with it for a while, till one day we almost lost our boat due to her getting foul. I will show you in a clip how it can happen. So even if people stand by the dampered, it is just a matter of time if they anchor enough times, but that can happen. Okay, I tried to explain to you about the dampered anchor. Although this one is just a small dinghy anchor, it is built exactly the same as the large ones, and the one I had was 45-pound dampered. So first is a flukes. They're very skinny, so if the anchor should ever get caught behind a rock under very heavy pull, they would bend, because they are not built like a claw anchor or a CQR. But the worst thing than that is, and if she does foul itself, and it works like this here. When you have no current, no wind, and when you hovering over it, and that thing gets wrapped around it, which possibly if your boat just keep on going, and then she tripped herself, and she loses totally her power, holding power. Then she goes like this either, and you just drag it. And then when you lift her up, that's how she comes up. It happened to us on 2 or 3 occasions. So because of it, it is very undependable except for a straight pull or as a stern anchor. Actually, I modified mine, which can be done by rounding those corners more and a weld piece of plate here. This way, the rope cannot get a wind around the
or chain. Either way, we've anchored with chain and had the same thing happen.
We actually had a chain wrapped around, but the idea is still the same. When we come into anchorage, first we look around. If there is a plenty room, naturally we try to anchor away from other boats, preferably somewhere where we can sail out of the anchorage in the case if you should have a problem with our engine, and also if you should have to put a more scope out. We don't want to be too close to anyone else. But in some anchorages you don't have the luxury to choose such a distance from other boats. So if I have to anchor closer to other boats, first thing I look to anchor to a type of boat which is closest to mine. That means a full keel cruising type of boat. I anchor always with a chain. I like to anchor next to a boat which also anchor with a chain, because the boats which are on the rope, they move differently than the one with a chain. I also try to stay away from power boats and multi-hulls, because they also respond to the wind conditions differently. When there is some wind and current, I drop my anchor behind a boat a little to the side, so then when I let all the scope out, I have enough clearance not to hit any other boats if we should start turning around. When we come to anchorage, if there is no wind nor current, that's the only way to do is ask someone on the boat where is their anchor located, and if there is nobody around, you make sure you anchor far enough, because boats can be in a total different location from their anchor than you might expect. Make sure your dinghy painter behind your boat, if you're pulling a dinghy behind you, it is in a short line so you don't foul your propeller. Anchor behind power boats because they have a tendency to run a generator, and we don't care exactly to be smelling their exhaust pipe. So once we get into the anchorage and we chose the location to drop our anchor, I deploy my anchor and put out about 4-to-1 scope. While I'm doing that, Susan put a boat into reverse and slowly just idling. She putting pressure so the chain stretching. If there is any wind conditions, we let the wind do the job. Once our boat stopped moving, by checking our boat location to some steady object on the shore, we increase engine power by about 200 RPM and wait again till a boat stop moving. And then we keep on increasing power by about 200 RPM till we reach about 1800 RPM. Once the boat stop moving, I make sure I put a snub line, and I use two snub lines, one of which is installed by the water line, the second one is up on the top of the deck, and finally I attach the chain to my Samsung post, so even if the snub lines should break, the boat still would be attached to a strong point on the boat.
Now we've got our anchor down here, and Jules is going to put a snubber line on.
I go slow so the snub line doesn't fall off. And then when it's done, I put a second snub line out here. And then, so there is no pressure on the windlass at all. And then finally, I take a chain. And the final is attached to a center post. So if the two snub lines should fail, the boat is still chain attached to the boat physically. And we are anchored.
Now Julius is setting our anchor. See the snub line is out, straight out. Putting a good pull on it. Looks like it's got a good pull, Julius.
All right, snub line straight. I see a lot of boats make a mistake, but they come to anchorage, they drop the anchor, they let enough scope, but then they put a full blast into reverse and they plowing the anchorage all around. They do that 2-3 times and declare that holding ground is bad and leave to go to a mooring or a dock or whatever the other chances are. But you should remember there are times where you will have to depend on your anchor, so you better know how to anchor and feel comfortable with it. Because you might be in a situation where your engine doesn't run and you are getting blown or drifting on the lee shore, and you have no other choice but to anchor. If your anchor starts dragging in gale conditions and you are too close to shore, a lot of people making mistakes by power for the anchor, lift the anchor out, and then they power away from the shore and drop the anchor. That's all well if everything works just right. But I don't like the idea to lift the anchor up, because just in case if your engine should stop running due to a fuel problem, or you might get something wrapped around your propeller. So if you should lose the power and your anchor is up already, you might drift on the shore before have a chance to re-anchor again and put enough scope. So my technique is this: if I should start dragging and I'm close to a shore, I start the engine and I power about 25 degrees off my main anchor, try to power twice the length of my scope. So say if I have 120 feet of chain, I power 120 feet, I get over my anchor, get another 125 feet, and then I drop the second anchor. As I fall back on my second anchor, I pretty much stop over my first anchor, and then when I'm holding on the second anchor, I lift my first anchor and repeat the same step. So this way I'm always anchored, so it doesn't matter what happens, I'm never loose, so I will run on the shore. And then after I repeat that 2 or 3 times when I'm far enough from the shore that I feel comfortable, then I make sure they're both anchors set. And then naturally, if the weather is deteriorated, I might even leave an engine running over the night or day just in case to help my boat protect her from getting washed on the beach. Here we're lifting our anchor, the hold. This is what?
That's our biggie.
That's our 75-pound CQR, which is perfect for storm conditions. Okay, slowly lower it down. Attaching anchor to a chain, it's very important to have a preferably US made shackles which are tested. They cost 3-4 times more than a Chinese made, but as you saw in my previous videos where a shackle which was 3/4 inch busted, I would not trust it anything unless I know it's certified. So here I'm using a shackle made by C&M alloy. It's a 3.3 ton working load, so she is good for 10,000 pounds or so. It's a 1/2 inch, has a painted pin. I bought this one at the McMaster car of Los Angeles, which I'm very happy with their service. Anyway, a good anchor and good chain has to be connected with a good shackle. We put a nice shackle in here, take it into a chain, attach to it. Once you have that connected, make sure you give it some good torque on a shackle. And then when it's done, don't forget to mouse it, because sometimes an anchor stays on the water for a long time and you want to make sure it stays put together, because people lose their boats by their shackle pin come loose, or a million other things can happen. Anyway, when you mouse it with a stainless steel wire or Monel, and she is pretty much ready to go. You should wrap it 3 times more, not 3 times minimum. That's it. Now she's ready to be deployed. Some people like to anchor in tandem with 2 anchors, but I believe using 1 large anchor rather than 2 smaller ones, because of the holding power of the anchor is calculated in a square root. So in other words, 50-pound anchor equals to 4 25-pound anchors. So if you think you have a 2 25-pound anchors equal to 50-pound of anchor, it is not so.
Well, we pulled all of our chain out of our locker and we're cleaning up the parts that are dirty right now that have been in the water. We got a little sea growth on them.
Getting ready for a passage. It's too much weight to be on the bow, so we're putting it into a bilge in the middle of the boat.
Jules is cleaning it, washing it, and then we're lowering it down. Get a little tarp spread out so it doesn't mess up the edge of the window. Oh, it's going right there into the bilge.
So I can't think anything more, and if you did forget something important, we will try to make a second part to our anchoring video, and I hope it was helpful to you, because we try to share with you all we learned throughout the years of anchoring. Thank you.